Before the Great Flood, men lived up to 900 years and stood up to 18 feet. These were giants who roamed the earth until they were swept away by the flood. After the flood, only 8 of these giants remained, and Shem lived until Abraham. My father told me of his great ancestor, who was still alive and was among the giants who once lived. The stories he told us of the old world fascinated us greatly. As the firstborn, I determined to see my great ancestor before he died, for he was already closer to 500 years. My great ancestor was 392 years old when I was born, and he lived longer than all his children, dying at 600 years old. He was 100 years old when the earth was destroyed by a flood and was among the 8 people who survived the flood. In our time, he and his 2 siblings were the oldest and tallest, standing 18 feet tall. Yet they did not live as old as their forefathers, who lived up to 900 years. I was lucky enough to meet Noah, who lived to 950 years and died 58 years after I was born. The 3 sons of Noah were among the 8 souls who were saved from the flood through the ark built by Noah. These giants lived for more than 500 years. Among them was Shem, who lived beyond 600 years. My father, Terah, and my grandfather, Nahor, and I saw Noah before he died. Noah lived 350 years after the flood, and I was born 292 years after the flood. It was Noah who built the ark that saved the 8 people who survived the flood. The sons and grandsons of Shem, my great-great-grandfather, died before he died. It was when Eber, one of Shem's grandsons, gave birth to Peleg and Joktan that the earth was divided at Shinar in Babel, also known as Babylon. This was between 101 years and 339 years after the flood, with Peleg being born 101 years after the flood and passing away 339 years later. During the time of Eber, one of the grandsons of Ham, called Nimrod, who was also a son of Cush, convinced and gathered the whole human race and marched them to Shinar to build a tower towards heaven. Cush is the forefather of dark-skinned people. Prior to this, all humans lived closer to Noah in Ararat and its environs. Noah and his sons lived around the mountains of Ararat. As they gave birth and multiplied, they spread away from there until Nimrod led them all to Shinar to build a tower to heaven. Ham saw his father's nakedness and was cursed as a result. Interestingly, Ham had 4 sons, but only Canaan, one of his sons, was cursed. Cush, the father of dark-skinned people, Phut, and Mizraim were not cursed. It is therefore not accurate to state or believe that Africans who descended from Cush were cursed by Noah. Against the express command of Noah and his sons, Nimrod rebelled and managed to convince his brethren that unless they build taller buildings towards the clouds, another flood will come and destroy them all again. Noah taught and pointed them to the rainbow as a sign that there would not be another flood to destroy the earth, but they disregarded him. Nimrod was the first to establish kingdoms and cities. In Genesis chapter 10, verses 8 through 12, it is written, "And Cush begat Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod the mighty hunter before the Lord. And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, and Erech, and Akkad, and Calneh, in the land of Shinar. Out of that land went forth Assur, and builded Nineveh, and the city Rehoboth, and Calah, and reasoned between Nineveh and Calah, the same is a great city. Therefore Nimrod was the first ruler of mankind after the flood, just like Cain, who ruled over evil men before the flood and built cities in Nod." Genesis chapter 4, verses 16 and 17 read, "And Cain went out from the presence of the Lord, and dwelt in the land of Nod, on the east of Eden. And Cain knew his wife, and she conceived and bare Enoch. And he builded a city, and called the name of the city after the name of his son, Enoch." Nimrod built cities and congregated his brethren into them to rule them. He moved them from Ararat to Shinar in modern-day Iraq, and built a long tower. This tower was destroyed by God, and the people he had gathered were scattered, the place was called Babylon, or Babel, which means confusion of languages. That is why the Bible states, "And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, and Erech, and Akkad, and Calneh, in the land of Shinar." Genesis chapter 10, verse 10. Out of Shinar and the Babylonian kingdoms, Ashur departed and founded Nineveh, Rehoboth, Rezin, and Calah. Genesis chapter 10, verses 11 and 12. The Bible therefore recognizes Nimrod as the one who began building cities and kingdoms after the flood. My grandparents were left in Ur of the Chaldees, that is Babylon, after the great separation of mankind into languages in the land of Shinar, and there they lived until God called me out of Ur to Canaan. While growing up in Ur, and also during our stay in Haran, I had learned of my giant ancestors, Noah, Shem, and his brethren, who taught all mankind about God, the flood, the creation of the earth, and the old pre-flood world. Shem had witnessed these things himself, and the rest he learned from Noah. My parents and grandfathers also learned a lot from Noah, and they passed these on to me orally. Neither Shem nor Noah lived to see Adam, the son of God and progenitor of our race, but they learned of him from their fathers, Lamech, Methuselah, and Enoch, who was transported to heaven alive by God. I have therefore come to Ararat, where Noah has made his vineyards, to meet Noah, Shem, and his brethren. They looked like youth, while their grand descendants looked older and exceedingly short. I felt as a grasshopper before these giants of 18 feet. At their feet I sat, as I listened to the truths of the world, from the creation unto his days when the earth was flooded. Subscribe, like, and share, and watch out for the next episode of this video on the giants before the flood.